All right, this meeting of the ad hoc committee is called to order. It is 3/3/21 at 1:05 p.m. And we're meeting today to talk about our superintendent search. In attendance, we have office staff Tara Kinsilla, Stacy Hines, and Dana O'Gara. And for board members present, Ms. Ziem, she is
Here.
present, and Jessica Brown, she is present. I think we're still waiting for others. We do not have a quorum. So, well, there's two of us. There's 4 people on this committee, which is
Odd.
It's odd that was the assignment. So, I guess there's 50. We'll see if we actually need to vote on anything. It's more informational, I think, at this point anyway. So, let's go ahead with what we've got. So I sent out a little bit of a late email, and Ms. Hines sent us an email as well with some recommendations on how to proceed with these focus groups. Stacy, would you like me to present that information? Would you like to present it, or just give an overview?
I can just speak to it just for a minute. To me, I have to assume the board wants to be as inclusive as possible and to reach out to as many stakeholders and in our community, and not just our school communities, but in the city of Nashua community. So, which is a big task. And I know I got my impression from Kathleen and Deborah that they would like to focus their schedule on the week of that last week in March. So as far as scheduling of the focus groups, I thought we would skip Monday because that could be a final reminder day to Tuesday if we had the focus groups on Tuesday, and really be a very full day Tuesday, an exclusive day Tuesday. And then what would be great is for those who would like to still participate in a focus group type meeting but cannot make Tuesday, if we scheduled the community meeting on Thursday, that gives people 2 opportunities in a single week. And it's a great way to market, both those events are a great way to market people to complete the survey, which BWP has scheduled to close that Friday, April 2nd. And also just having the community focus group on that Thursday, it's April Fool's Day. It would be an easy day for people to remember because it's the first day of April. So I thought that was a good date to hang our hat on, to include anybody who could make one of the focus groups and others who wanted to participate. So
okay, and
so
I think that sounds great. Sandra, so you and I, and actually the board members, will not be attending those focus groups. That's going to be by the community members' involvement and different school and district office staff, different things like that, their involvements along with the consultants. We actually don't have to do that. So are you okay with those dates of the 29th and the 1st?
Oh, it's the 29th. I was thinking it was April 3rd. You're saying the 29th, okay.
I'm sorry, I've read on my paper 29th, the 30th, Tuesday, March 30th for the focus groups, and then April.
Oh, she just said April 1st.
April 1st would be the evening group that it's going to be. So we'll have, the way this is probably going to work is there's going to be 2 full days where the consultants are going to run, or I'm sorry, a full day where both consultants are going to run simultaneous Zooms with multiple groups from the community. So we'll have a group in the community, for example, may have a member of a teacher, a parent, a business owner, and a firefighter in it, for example. They're going to work with those groups, and then that will, obviously there is a limited number. I think they said that they could have between 6 and 15 people in each group. And then at that point, at the end of the day, the folks that would like to be involved in the focus groups, but we just don't have the time to accommodate their schedules, we'll then there's an open forum in which anyone else can come and contribute their opinion. Also, that would be via Zoom, and that one would be the one that would take place on April 1st.
Oh. So can you
then
just give, so it's March 29th, April 1st?
It's March 30th. They just wanted us to select from those dates. March 30th would be the focus group day. And as I said, you and I actually don't have to attend those. And then April 1st, the same day, but I think Stacy is onto something saying that, hey, that April Fool's Day is going to stick in people's head.
Yeah. So is the focus group already, do you have all the names yet?
So that's actually what we're going to do after we pick our date. We've got a bunch of lists here that we're going to go through, and we've consolidated a pretty substantial list between Stacy and I had a few, actually, I think you sent me a few names, and Miss Raymond sent me some names, and Miss Johnson and Miss Timmons all extended our list out long. So I'll bring that up here in just a minute, and we can take a look at all of our target groups. And then also we're suggesting that we add a few select groups, which are specific target audiences, like the Nashua Teachers Union and the central office staff. But we can talk about that in just a minute. Are you everybody comfortable with those dates?
Actually, I think because of the fact that they have more than one choice, if I'm understanding. So if, for instance, if they couldn't make it on the 30th, they could come to April 1st. Is that the case?
If we extend an invitation and they're not available during, some of the time slots are going to be during the day, because they're multiple, there's about 15 or 16 different sessions that people are going to be able to come to. If they're not able to come to one of those, then the open forum, which will still be kind of an invitation link, they're still going to have to kind of send us interest so that we can send it out to them, because it's
you don't get too many.
For the open forum, that'll be available on April 1st. So exactly what you're saying, they'll still have that option. And then even if people are not able to be involved in either of those, we're sending out a citywide survey asking for people to consider what they're looking for in a leader, not as an individual, not as an interview, but as them to look for leadership characteristics that we value most highly here in our district specifically. And that's going to be open to every single individual in the city. So if they don't feel they,
kudos to whoever came up with that. Great idea. So that makes me very happy, because the more inclusive, the better. No exclusive, very inclusive.
I think I agree. I think it's our getting the community involvement and support, and feedback is our most valuable asset in this process. All right, so I'm going to say yes and let the board know at our next meeting that those are going to be the dates. And so next up, I'm going to bring up the list of our audience targets here, and I sent it out to you, and that we can, Tara, we'll add this to the minutes for later, but I didn't get it finished until about 15 minutes ago, so I didn't get it out beforehand. So we'll bring this up, and let me get it a little bigger here. I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys see that? All right, I'm going to zoom in a bit. I know.
Yeah, a little bit. I can't read it. I have a blind eye.
Yeah, it's very small. I'm going to see if I can change my view. So it's, let me do that. All right.
That's better.
Is that a little better? It's still a little small. Maybe I can zoom in even a little more.
That's better though.
And we'll just scroll around. All right. So, as I said, we put out a request from the other board members to let us see what what organizations we want to take into account and reach out to be part of these focus groups. We tried to think of everything from city organizations like police and fire, to the Chamber of Commerce, to the NAACP, Greater Nashua Mental Health, youth organizations that for sports, the Nashua Interfaith Council. So I'll maybe quickly read through these, and how I've got this written right here is the highest number of contributors we have for these focus groups is actually the teachers of the Nashua School District, which I think is going to be very valuable. We'll hopefully compile, and I broke it down by not just elementary, middle, and high school, but also seeking lower elementary input and upper elementary input, and also input from each school rather than just one representative for all elementary schools, one representative for all middle schools, because they are all a little bit unique. So our plan of attack, and this is, we're going to have to be soliciting interest, and then we'll narrow it down from there. It's something that I'm hoping that this committee will kind of trust for. I think it's probably going to be Stacy and me to take care of if it gets approved today. So the teachers, one from each school representing the kindergarten through second grade. Elementary school, one from each school representing third through fifth grade. Middle school, one per school per grade. So that's going to be 3 schools with 3 grades. It's going to be a total of 9. High school, and I just wrote general ed, implying that we're also going to add in other representatives from the special ed department and the Brentwood facility and the CTE department, and recognizing that those are high school programs. So by general ed, I just I don't know if that's the correct terminology, but that's what I typed in here. So 1 per school per grade, meaning a total of 8. I recognize also that some teachers teach multiple grade classes. I'll probably leave that something up to the principals to decide how that applies. 1 from the Brentwood facility, 1 from CTE, 1 from the preschool program. This is my opinion, and that's why it's got squared off. I think it would be great if we had at least 50% of those teachers as Nashua residents as well. I think it would, I don't know, I think it would just represent our focus groups well, but I am amenable to changing that. I would like to invite, go ahead.
Well, my concern is that, for instance, Brentwood, it's saying 1. So you have a director of Brentwood, right? You have the head, which is not a principal, so it's not in the 17. So is that going to be the principal there, or not director, whatever you want to call him? I think they call it a director. But anyway, whatever it is, that's different than a principal, and I don't think it's covered in the 17. So is the 1, and that's a small group, so 1 should be enough. But I would be concerned that you don't jump over, I don't know, we don't offend leadership.
That's actually, I hadn't considered that, Sandra. I think that's a good observation. So I did not count the Brentwood in the 17. I just counted that as the individual principals. But Stacy pointed out to me today that principals right now do have a pretty full plate. Oh. So when I say principals, we may get representation. Some of the principals may send an assistant principal in their place. So
one of my concerns is that all of these letters of invitation, maybe we should put an escape valve and to say, we appreciate if the load is too heavy right now and you're unable to send somebody, but we certainly didn't want you to feel that your input isn't valuable and that we didn't want you as part of the group. So because some of them may have to say no. I'm noticing on this list that, and I just thought of these as I was sitting around here mulling over in my head, a representative from the mayor's office, is that on there? Or so, the automatic off, do we want to invite one of them if they may not want to come, but if by inviting them, we say to them, we love you and we want you to be part of the team, is that a good message?
I think that's an excellent message. And actually, so I'm going to skip ahead, but I'm going to come back here, but just I'm going to scroll to the bottom so you can see where I have down here. I actually am going to ask down, so instead of necessarily being part of the focus groups, I'm going to ask the consultants to reach out directly to the mayor's office and also our liaison, Alderman Dowd, to have a personal conversation with them and get their perspectives. Do you find that that's a?
No, that's wonderful. Thank you. I should have known you're ahead of me.
Well, no,
No,
I
that's
actually,
good.
I
You
have,
can be
I'm going
ahead
to
of
give,
me. I don't mind.
I have to give Miss Raymond credit for that. She's the one that sent me that message. So that I'm going to give her credit. So my perspective on this, and I welcome any feedback or weighing in, is as we're going through this list for the number of people to extend an invitation to, I am not necessarily assuming that, for example, if we reach out to the Police Athletic League and their director is not available, we're just asking them to send us a representative. They can choose whoever they want within their organization. And I kind of feel the same about the principals. If they want to send an assistant principal, or I don't know, even their administrative assistant in their way, I don't know if that would give us the same perspective, but that would be their prerogative from a management perspective, you know?
Okay.
All right, so let's see. And see, please keep jumping in, Dana, Sarah, everybody. Sandra, go ahead, Dana.
So why 50% Nashua residency? Our employees come from all over.
Right, honestly, that's what I was saying. That's my own personal addition, and if anybody wants me to pull it out, I will erase it.
It's the school community.
We don't have any residency requirements, so and all our teachers are invested as professional educators, and I also agree with Dana. I feel a little uncomfortable about giving preference over a teacher who lives in Nashua as opposed to a teacher who does not live in Nashua.
Well, there you go.
I'll play devil's advocate. I think it's fine to take it out, but I can understand why you put it in there, Jessica. I often thought of that when we did our strategic plan, that it's quite easy to just shoot for the moon and the stars. But when you're invested in the community in a different way than your actual job, it sometimes changes the way you think about things. So I can understand why you put that. It doesn't have to be there, but as a Nashua resident, I understand what you're saying.
No, and I think that the biggie is the taxes. Obviously, they don't pay taxes to Nashua, and of course, the superintendent's salary is a large. I mean, I think the schools are most important of everything we do, even the police.
I understand, but it's not about taxes, though.
Yeah, but that's
Well,
all right.
I mean, it is about taxes. Everything's about taxes.
This part is about leadership, finding the leadership that.
So, all right. Well, that's why we're doing this together.
Yes.
Go ahead, Sandra.
Well, one of my important things, like about the superintendent, was I always wanted somebody who was willing to move to Nashua and become part of our community so that they could understand better. I think when you live in a community, you become part of the community, because and our superintendent has to be involved in unfortunately, he has to be as political as he is academically strong. So it's a big job.
I agree. I think the office of superintendent is, it's
huge.
Leadership, it's figurehead, it's, it's community. You're political. Not just, when you're overseeing, it's not just leading the people who work within your organization. It's also, it's also leading the community in a direction that you want to go long-term, because ultimately 95% of the people who live in your community have gone through our public school system, and most of them are going to stick around. Hopefully, we want them to. All right, so I'm going to scroll on down. So we've got principals. 2 paraprofessionals. So my thought was we'll have, people apply and we'll draw names out of a hat, or do it by a lottery system. 1 from the special ed department, 1 from the ELL department. But now this was, I will say, the ELL department and the NTU, this was from a previous draft of this document. I spoke with Stacy this morning and she made some really excellent points. We kind of would like to do a targeted focus group with NTU, Nashua Teachers Union, and the ELL department. ELL department, I think it's a little self-explanatory. We may need, actually, no, I'm sorry. That's not what this reference. This is an ELL department staff member. I apologize. That's not what this means. But the ELL community, we want to do a specified focus group so that if we need to make any accommodations with an extra interpreter or anything like that, we can make sure that our coordinator, Yenny, can put that together with us. And the same with the NTU. We actually think that it could be really valuable to give them their own homogenous focus group for issues that pertain more specifically to that group. All right, so let's see, one from the guidance department. And are there any other departments in here where people could apply a category that I didn't think of? I welcome your thoughts. Maintenance, human resources, secretarial staff, food service, and school nurses.
School nurses are actually teachers.
Oh, they fall under the teachers category. All right, then. I did not know that.
Teachers, school nurses, and Dana knows this best, psychiatrists
Yeah,
and counselors.
and SLPs, speech language pathologists.
Okay, speech language, okay.
Those are good ones.
Guidance is under their teacher contract too.
Yeah.
Special ed.
So do you think these departments should have, I mean, I feel like the representation is kind of different than a teacher's perspective. Do you think it's fair to make them different?
I would
Well,
possibly
they're not a department.
IT,
Oh, IT.
just so that they're not left out because they're about the one.
The lottery is going to be pretty small in the IT department. Man, those guys, can I give a shout out to the IT guys? The smallest, they got to be the smallest department with one of the heaviest workloads right now. So IT we added in. Any place else that we want to add in?
What about the parent group? There's a parent group. I couldn't even tell you their name, but if they wanted to send, no, this is they've been petitioning for school to go back. And I don't have any problem with any, but we specifically know of them. And I think to include them would be a courtesy. And I think it would say to them that we are trying to be objective and listen to everybody. So please feel free to be part of this. Are they included in this, or am I missing it again?
So I did a generalized parent, looking for parents that could apply, again, also by lottery. But I mean, that is an astute observation, Sandra. The parent group they have over 1,000 people. So it is kind of a good outreach group, but you could lump them in. We're leaving an opening for 20 to 24 individual parents.
Well, the other one is that we recently had an email from a man who was saying he wanted to get involved. And somebody like that, I think, would also be a nice courtesy. I mean, these are 12 to, and I don't know. I just think in the interest of nobody feeling that they're not important, because as they pointed out, well, the inclusive is better. So, I thought he might also be, we just got it this week, and basically it was just an open-ended. He said, I'd like to get involved. Basically he was saying, I care about my community and the schools, and how can I help? What can I do? So
Yeah,
he might
I think that's a good plan.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that we send an invitation to their leadership to extend the invitation to apply to their members, and then they can send that in. As I said, we're going to have kind of a little bit limited space, but we'll put them in the lottery, and then we can still extend them to the open forum as well. So that'll be a really, any people that are interested but still we don't have time to fit them into the daily focus groups, we'll certainly send them an invitation to the open forum. I think that's important. I think that's a good plan. Okay. Let's see. Moving along here, we've got, and I'm not just for the record, I'm deleting the NTU, not because we're deleting the NTU, but they're getting more credit later. So not really deleting them. That's just for updating my document. All right. Southern New Hampshire and St. Joseph's Hospitals, one each, the Police Athletic League. So here we are getting into organizations that tend to work directly with the youth groups. And honestly, I'm not, the Elks, they do the South Side football, cheerleading, all that stuff, right? Is it in the PAL is North Side?
I believe so.
Okay, all right, that's why it's in there, and I wasn't exactly sure of the role. Yes, go ahead, Sandra.
And when you're saying Southern New Hampshire University, you mean Southern New Hampshire Regional Medical Center?
Yeah, that's actually.
Well, no, I'm just, because I deal with Boston, I kept saying Memorial, and they finally said to me, we are not familiar with the Memorial Hospital. Where is that? So some people are not old like me, and I remember the old names of everything. But thank you.
We'll put that in there. All right. So let's see, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Explorers, the NAACP. We're looking for 2 members of the Chamber of Commerce, and we're not going to, basically I'm hoping to put it out to their members and send us a couple of folks.
Clearway's a good catch. That was whoever thought of that, that's a great one.
Thank you. All right. The Nashua Community College, Riviere, Southern New Hampshire University, SNU, and let's see. So those are kind of, academia that does work with some of our students, and our students go on to those places locally here. So now we're looking at, the YMCA, that's also another kind of obviously, high arching group that does a lot of stuff. So Rotary, I think that this is, if you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, there's 2 primary Rotaries in Nashua. There's one from the east and one from the west. And is that's accurate still?
No, one's called the Nashua Rotary. The other one is called Nashua Rotary West, I believe. But there's no
West.
Oh, okay. Well, so the 2 Rotaries, whatever they're called, I'll update my sheet for accuracy later when we find out their official names. So somebody from each of those places. The fire department and the police department, the United Way, they do a great deal for our city and our school district. And 68 Hours of Hunger. There you go. So also they're very, very helpful here in our district. The Adult Learning Center, Nashua Public Health, Community Conversation on Race and Justice, Nashua Soup Kitchen and Shelter, Greater Nashua Mental Health, 21st Century, Cultural Connections Committee, Nashua Blast, Nashua Youth Soccer League, Nashua Parks and Rec. The reason I included these, Nashua Blast is lacrosse families, Nashua Youth Soccer League, soccer, and then Nashua Parks and Rec is all the rest of the community sports. So that's why they're in there. And I just know they've reached a lot of kids, even though they kind of fall under a city department. So the Symphony New Hampshire for arts influence, Nashua Public Library. And so then this is where, I should probably move those down. It would have been better organized. The Catholic Diocese, the Interfaith Council, Temple Beth Abram, Hindu Temple of Nashua, Islamic Society of Greater Nashua, and businesses supporting businesses, or the other organizations. So then these two here, number 38 and 39, I said unaffiliated parents. So I just because there wouldn't fall under a connection with another organization. And I think then under this circumstance, they definitely have to be a resident of Nashua and have a student of school age. No, this is not to be disparaging against anyone who is a parent of a 25 or 26 or 30-year-old, but I don't think it's necessarily the focus of what we want for this particular project. And then non-parents, which you wouldn't necessarily have to be a non-parent, but I think that should actually say parent of a non-school age child. Maybe is a better way to say that. So, all right, then we'll keep on scrolling down. We have 4 other groups that I talked with Stacy and I think would be really great. Actually, the consultants are the ones that suggested students. And of course, this is all about students. So why wouldn't we ask them? And so, but I think from a comfort level, from a young person's perspective, it might be pretty intense to be in a room full of adults for a lot of them. So I'm going to suggest that maybe we do a homogeneous group specifically of students. Yes, go ahead, Sandra.
They have Senate group over at South that's quite active, and I think they now also have Republican and Democrat clubs in both of our high schools, which I was delighted to hear that they finally got both, because that's the way balance, So there might be some way that you can include them in that.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. The other one that I wondered about too is, did we touch on the Adult Learning Center?
So yes, we've got
Okay,
some.
thank you. We wouldn't want to leave them out. They're great.
Did we say
Absolutely.
Clearway?
Yeah, I saw Clearway. That was, yes.
Okay.
And they're great. So we have so many wonderful, we really are fortunate to have all these wonderful people.
No, I agree that the community services in Nashua are a lot of people with a lot of heart here.
Yes, yes.
So that was one of the groups that I think we want to work with. And you know what, maybe, as you said, maybe the Student Senate. And then also we're going to be looking for not just student council representatives, but also we'd like to maybe have reach out to each of the principals and have them give us a cross section of students that's a little bit more diverse in the population, both academically, academically or ethnically or whatever, so that we have a really good cross section of the entire school population. And we'll see if they maybe we'll end up with 2 of those student groups, depending on the numbers that we get back. But I think there's going to be some pretty valuable stuff that comes out of there. So here's the other, let's see, we already spoke about the ELL community. That's more of, so that we can make sure that everyone is facilitated properly. Yeah, go ahead, Sandra.
I'm wondering if on the ELL, the immigration population is included in that?
That was my perspective. Stacy, would you say that would be under there, or?
Yeah, I think when I spoke to Yenny the other day, she was perfectly willing to try to reach out and include as many people as possible and identify them ahead of time so that she could make sure that they would able to communicate with the consultants. So I think that includes everybody.
Yeah. So the NTU, and we'll find out what the perfect number is for a focus group, and then they can come in and give us, and so they'll have access to the consultants to give their perspective and answer the questions. Because obviously that's they represent a large number of our stakeholders. And then finally, the other group is the central office staff. So because they are working so hard most every day, all day, we actually, Stacy had a great idea and they're going to be working, while not all of them directly report to the superintendent, they encounter the superintendents every single day. And you know, it influences the culture of the environment and then essentially the entire school district. So we kind of want to have a dedicated focus group for the central office staff. And I think we proposed that we'll actually shut down on the day on that March 30th for 1 hour so that they can have a focus meeting with our focus groups. And what was the time slot on that, Stacy?
Between 2 and 3.
Between 2 and 3. And so there wouldn't be admittance into the central office for that 1 hour, so that they could really focus on that experience. But we'll give people a heads up or stick a note on the door, gone fishing. So let's see. And finally, down here, I'm going to ask that the consultants reach out, not in a focus group forum, but directly have a conversation, whether it's phone, Zoom, 15 minutes, 30 minutes with the department heads and the highest level administrators in the office. It's only a handful of people, and I think that that's going to be good because those will be the direct reports to the superintendent. So I think that'll be really important. And of course, we'll extend an invitation for the same conversation to the mayor's office and our school liaison, Alderman Dowd. So anybody have anything to add? All right.
Great.
I assume
Great job.
we haven't touched upon the adult and community education program, so I don't know if you want to include them under the teachers, if you want to include them under and have Lori be under the department heads or whatever. So I don't know.
So are those, do the teachers, is that a separate group of teachers than the ones that work on regular traditional daytime hours? Or they fall?
I don't know. Dana would know better than I would. I have to assume there's a mix.
Isn't it ALC? That's not ALC, Stacy?
No, this is the Nashua Adult and Community Education Program run by Lori Rothaus.
Yeah, that's Adult Learning Center on Lake Street, right?
I'm sorry?
No, I've got the titles mixed up.
No, there is, but the Adult Learning Center is not under the Nashua Board of Education. The Nashua Adult and Community School is very much a part of our high schools to be a comprehensive program. They have a credit recovery program for the high schoolers. They have diploma program. They run the driver's ed program, and they also have personal interest classes for any of the community members. If you want to learn how to do pottery, or if you want to learn about Excel or whatever, she offers classes in that.
Yeah, I thought it was ALC because they have adult classes too. I went to a computer class there. It was wonderful.
Yeah, we call it the Nashua Community Adult Education.
See, it goes back to that other Southern New Hampshire Regional. I'm back 20 years ago.
Yeah, but there's also the Adult Learning Center, but that's completely separate. It's not under the National Board of Education.
Right.
So does the Board of Education have, the superintendent has some, isn't he somehow engaged with them though?
With who?
The Adult Learning Center we pay them money to per student or a group of students to attend Clearway High School.
And that's all. Okay. Thank you.
That was good. That was a good addition. I moved them up under like CTE and all that, because those are technically then our employees servicing a different population of students.
Yes.
All right. Well, that sounds good. I think so we've got a date scheduled. We've got a list made. If there's anybody, honestly, in the next 2 or 3 days, we're going to be sending out these invitations and making the phone calls. If there's an organization that anyone from this committee or another board member says, oh, I just can't believe we forgot those guys. For the public, it was nothing personal. We were just trying to think of everything we possibly could. But please shoot me a message and we'll extend an invitation out there.
I didn't see, you probably didn't have a chance yet, but I had mentioned the Nashua area retired teachers.
Yes, you know what? There was one more that I was just thinking, I can't remember. Yeah. All right. See?
And that's a great catch. Those people, they have an amazing, when we have issues in the community, that they always, they don't stop caring about kids just because they're retired. So they're very active in their own, that was a great catch, Stacy. Thank you.
All right. Just added them. All right. So we'll send that finalized document out. What I'm thinking, Sandra, when I send that document out to you this afternoon, and I'm going to send it to Tara to attach to the minutes. If you have connections directly with any of those folks, let Stacy and me know, and maybe you can make if you feel like making a phone call. Otherwise, I think this is kind of my perception of a way we could handle this efficiently. Is Stacy then can walk down the list if she's got a personal connection with someone in the community that she can outreach to, and then maybe Dana and Stacy and Tara, I'll be willing to work with you on this as well, can create kind of an email to send to teachers, volunteers, and that kind of thing that we can send in so they can, or department heads and principals and that kind of thing. If you want to, I'll be happy to take care of that if you guys get me the list of names that I should send those to. And then after Sandra, if you take a peek, and Stacy, you take a peek, and then we got the list of direct people in the Nashua School District, I will just get the phone book and start calling everybody else. All right.
You're going to find out it's very time consuming, because when a lot of these people, you don't get an opportunity to talk to otherwise. And so it really opens up it's a wonderful way to get to know our district. And I just want to say to you that these are a lot of calls and a lot of time. And if short of that, I will certainly look and see if there are any I feel I know. But I'm happy to call anybody you want me to. You just send me whatever you want me to do, and I will do it. Okay.
All right, sweet. We'll split her up.
Split her up.
Okay, so that's check mark 1, check mark 2, and then once we get the names back from the folks that we're going to send the invitations back out to, unfortunately, we've got a really quick turnaround, I think, for that time slot for the people to commit. They did send us out let me double check this, agenda. Oh, I'm on the wrong page here. So they'd like the focus groups identified. Actually, it's not too bad. March 19th, they'd like the RSVP deadline. They want them identified by the 12th, and they want the RSVPs back between March 15th and 19th. So that's a couple weeks. That's not too bad. Our next item of business is, do we have any suggestions for a salary range yet, or is that still in process?
I haven't seen anything.
No, I think Dan was, I mentioned to Dan the other day, and I think Tara did too. And so we'll bug them.
All right. Well, I was going to say, if we actually, so Sandra, I'll give you an update, and feel free to weigh in. We do think we want to make sure that we have a salary range in mind moving forward, so that we don't want to waste anybody's time for somebody we can't afford. And also we don't want our time to be wasted or their time to be wasted. So we want to be respectful of making sure we have the most serious candidates applying, and that works for our district from a leadership perspective and a financial perspective. But we didn't get that finalized. Dan, we have a budget meeting tonight, so I'm going to guess he may be a little bit busy. So if you're comfortable with this, Sandra, and the district office, we could wait until our next superintendent search committee meeting, which we don't have on the books. We've been kind of just doing the work as is. I would be comfortable with this central office putting a proposal in the packet for our board meeting on Monday night, if there's one ready for not then, or we can, because I think we probably will have to approve the salary range from a board perspective. I don't think we have to, yeah.
So
So,
the state website, they have all the superintendent salaries for New Hampshire.
I've already given that to Dan. He's got that for
Did you give that to Dan?
surrounding areas in Maine. I did that for him, yeah.
Okay, thank you,
He
Tom.
has some reference material.
Okay,
and I want to be clear that we're not, this has nothing to do with a specific, negotiating a specific contract or what the terms of whatever we come to with the candidate. We just need to know that this is
Parameters.
our space. So.
Yep.
All right. So let's see. Is there anything else that we need to talk about today? Did I forget anything? I know this meeting kind of was a last minute because of we just heard about stuff on Monday night. So go ahead, Ms. Hines.
I really appreciate Kathleen Williams preparing the calendar that she did. She sent us, which is very helpful. It's going to be our, go-to document to keep us on track. But one thing that I don't feel the Board of Education has really done in a grand way, and with us, looking at particularly the last week of mid-March, the last week in March, with some major community involvement, we really need to make a formal announcement, I believe. I mean, I think it was the fact that you had hired BWP was, I think maybe been reported in the press, but there was never, because we haven't had any formal letter of resignation or Dr. Mosley or a formal announcement from the Board of Education about actually initiating a superintendent search. I don't know. I just kind of want to raise the banner and toot the horn and remind our community that we are about to launch a very important search for a very important position.
I think that's a great plan. Go ahead, Sandra.
Well, I would think that as chair of the subcommittee, you would go forward and speak with Kathleen and them to help you write some. Is it, Stacy, are you saying something written or a public announcement, like on Zoom?
so
No, I'm thinking of something more formal, kind of tap all our media outlets, all our own ways of outreach by putting it on the website, Twitter, making sure our staff have a formal announcement that the National Board of Education has initiated a superintendent search, and just kind of, and oh, by the way,
Well, maybe the three of you want to do it, you and Dana and Jesse.
yeah.
Jessica.
I mean, it's
Well, I was going to say, yeah, Stacy, if you want to, if you have time to write up, I guess we're probably gonna do a press release and some kind of a banner at the top of the page or for something. I think
Right.
that would be great.
And this Kathleen, I bet Kathleen and them have done those before. They might have some samples that they've used that they could send you. I bet they would do that. I mean, usually they save those kinds of things,
it doesn't have to be long. It's just basically kind of making this
Just make a little
grand
noise.
announcement.
Yes,
Yeah,
make a little
And
noise.
just let's draw attention to
Especially
ourselves a
because
little
we're
bit about
Zoom.
this.
But the Zoom stuff makes everything dead. But anyway, I hate it.
Motion.
Yep.
The
And
board
I would
of
include it in e-news and iNews, and just as a, and we can include some of these dates. Oh, by the way, folks, we're going to be reaching out to you. We want to hear from you. And that's going to be happening in the next week or two. So keep a lookout. I mean, there's just all that kind of stuff.
Promotion.
Yep.
Yes.
I actually think that's fantastic, because that's going to drive people to fill out the surveys and feel involved and feel like it's not something that was, it was very public and transparent. I think that's great. And you can even put kind of a save the date or watch out for the survey that'll be coming out on this date, and don't forget to turn it in by this date or whatever.
So should the board members fill out the survey?
They're going to be interviewed individually.
I knew that,
I mean,
but
I suppose, I mean, why
I just
not?
didn't know
But-
if they wanted it on, if they were gonna put it, you know, if they're gonna put this stuff online or something. And
Oh,
so
yeah, the survey is going to be,
I didn't,
out
I
there
meant any
for
answer
everybody.
surveys. Yeah, but I meant samples of, all right, okay, I'm good. Thank
So
you.
in regards to that, Stacy, what do you think would be the best approach? You can write something up. Do we need to make a video, like a little 30-second video recording for social media, or we can just maybe make the formal announcement via
That's
you
a
know,
great
Twitter,
idea.
and then
You
we
could get 96 and 99 to do it. You could do a 30-second, that's a great idea, actually. Because, and they'd be tickled to have, they are always looking for people to step up and do that kind of thing. And
I
you-
think
and-
people would be up for that.
Yeah, yes. Well, he's great. So they're all
Yeah.
great. They're wonderful people. So, yeah, that sounds wonderful idea. Good catch.
All right,
I'm just-
Stacy, you're in charge of the marketing campaign. Go ahead, Tara.
No, just the announcement.
Just so you
Not
know,
in charge of marketing.
Stacy, just so you know, the board did actually make a motion on December 21st.
Right, but
Okay.
you know, it's, lots happened between now and then.
But I didn't want the public to think we did not, the board itself did not make that decision. They did.
Right, I just think that, and, you know, we can think about the wording, but, and we got to think about the timing too, when we want to send this, but I do think we need to remind the public that, in our community and all our employees, that this is happening.
Yeah,
So-
a lot of people think Garth is the superintendent,
Yes,
so.
And flipping through the channels, sometimes I check those little things on the 96 and 99, and I'm always tickled to see somebody I know. It's nice, you know, as opposed to seeing people that you don't know that are off hundreds of thousands of miles away. And
yeah.
now you see a friendly smile that's local. I wish to have more local, so that's good.
All right then. Well, I think we've got a plan of attack. And yeah, Stacy, if you want to put out to whatever our usual media outlets are for the big announcement, and maybe we'll talk to ETV and see what they can make some kind of a jazzy something going on.
I'm sure
for us.
people have some ideas.
All right. Hey, I guess we can adjourn. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, so moved. And all right, Sandra, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes. And I vote yes. We are adjourned at 1:58 p.m.
See you at 6 o'clock.